Ukrainian drones struck an airbase deep inside Russian territory. One attack happened in the Engels base in the Saratov region on the Volga River, and the other attack happened on the Yagileva base in the Ryazan region of western Russia. The Defense Ministry of Russia stated that Russian air defense shot down 2 Ukrainian drones, and that the damage was only done by the falling debris from the drones that were shot down. Sir, Ukrainians just attacked 2 of our air bases 500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Sir, 3 of our strategic bombers are destroyed. 1 extra one seriously damaged. Major damage, sir. What? That is horrible. Minor damage, you say? Major damage, sir. Major damage. Very good. Minor damage. Good job. No problem at all. Minor damage. Does that look like minor damage to you? If this is minor, I don't want to know what's major. Let's look at the distances from Google Maps for a moment. This here is Ukraine, this is Kharkiv, this here is Moscow, and Ryazan. Look at this. Let's measure the distance. It is only 100 miles, 172 kilometers from Moscow. And let's measure the distance to Ukrainian border, which is 300 miles or 470 kilometers. Now the other base they attacked was Saratov, right here. Let's measure this distance. To Ukrainian border, we cannot measure to Donbass because Ukraine does not control these areas. So let's measure to Kharkiv, which is 400 miles or 647 kilometers. Also, let's go to satellite mode. I want to zoom into Saratov air base. Look, this is the city, this is a river here, and that is the air base. And of course, this photo is taken a while ago, so it doesn't really reflect on what's happening now. This is the city of Ryazan, and this is their airfield. Let's zoom in on this one also. I don't see any. Oh my god, yes, the photo is taken a while ago, and I'm guessing some of these, I mean, we're talking about 3 destroyed, so maybe some of these are destroyed. It is weird that you can just use Google Maps to just look where Russia's strategic bombers are. I feel weird doing this, honestly. How was Ukraine able to do this? 500 kilometer distance? What did they use to attack? Well, there are 3 possibilities in my eyes. Either it was the special forces who worked 500 kilometers behind enemy lines. Unlikely. It might have been a sabotage attack from the Russian resistance movement, or it might have been a new Ukrainian drone. They are developing new drones as we speak. It might also have been a new missile that Ukraine was developing. What is weird is, just before the strike, United States officials stated that they have modified HIMARS. The modifications ensure that Ukraine could not use HIMARS to fire attack MS missiles if Kiev were to acquire them for other countries. Basically, they modified HIMARS not to be able to fire further than they want to, stating that they are definitely not going to be behind this attack and US weaponry is not going to be used on this attack. Which leaves me to believe that Ukraine coordinated this attack with the US. I mean, otherwise the timing is just too perfect for this statement. Almost immediately after the drone attack against Russian airfields, Russia shot out about 70 missiles targeting Ukrainian water and electrical infrastructure. On the very next day, Ukraine attacked again. They used a drone to attack a Russian airfield in the Kursk region. There was an oil depot and the drone smashed into it, and there was a huge fireball setting the oil depot on fire. Russian officials in Kursk, the local officials, had this to say about this. Listen, like, this explains a lot. You're gonna love this. Despite the fact that the tanks were empty, a considerable fire broke out. What? Like, the tanks were empty, but they burst in flames. Despite the fact that there was major damage and the oil depot was knocked out cold for at least a year, there was minor damage. Relax, minor damage. See, if you say these 2 words, minor damage, you already feel better. Your pulse go down, you relax. Minor damage. I feel better already. I'll be bringing you news from Ukraine and news all over the world, my friends. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. Do it now. I don't have a sponsor. I have Patreons. And I'm proud to say this. I feel good to have such a supporting group of people behind me. I really feel good. And I want to read you Patreon names, tier 10 or above, butchering them with my Estonian pronunciation. Are you ready for some bleeding of the ears? Let's go. Peter. Lakey, Sean Morell, Peter G, Tom Evans, Obituary Bill. These patrons are all 10 or above. If you like my videos, then become a patron. I might be butchering your name. I recently did a podcast with Natasha on my podcast channel. From the channel Natasha's Adventures. It was a really interesting talk, so check it out, links in the description below. Subscribe to my podcast channel. We have a video of these Russian soldiers stealing something very valuable. It must be worth a lot to put such effort into stealing it. Is that a bathtub? My lord, not the bathtub! No, take my toilet, take my washing machine, don't take my bathtub, leave my bathtub alone. What's that? An S-Class? Who is that driving it? My god, it's him. It's Jason Bourne. It is Vladimir Putin. Mom, Dad, come look. Putin is driving over the Kerch Bridge. Whoa, he can drive. What a man. A video was released about Putin supposedly driving an S-Class over the Kerch Bridge. It could easily be faked with a green screen on the windshield and some lights to reflect from the dash, but it also could be real. I don't know where the truth is. I'll leave you to decide. I mean, driving over the Kerch Bridge is, of course, dangerous for Putin. But I must say, he has a good taste in cars, because if I must go into that dark night, I must go in luxury. Putin approved spending cuts on citizens and redirected money to the army, the police and the FSB. President Putin signed a law on the federal budget of 2023 to 2025. According to the document, next year the government intends to collect 5.6% less in taxes than in 2022. Oil and gas revenues of the budget will be reduced by 24%. But government does not plan to cut spending. This budget includes a sharp reduction in spending to support the economy and a record jump in history of appropriations for internal power structures and special services. Every third ruble made will go to the security services. My friends, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Do you have your popcorn? Do you have too many brain cells? Is your brain not smooth enough? I will now quote the title of today's Russian propaganda show. The risks of Russian Federation dissolving increased greatly with the beginning of the special military operation. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Let's watch this show.
Ой, к сожалению,
Why? It's already... Why? That's the mood in Russian propaganda right now. Why?
распада Российской Федерации резко выросли с началом этой спецоперации по двум причинам. Первая заключается в том, что само идеологическое обоснование вот насчет того, что в Украине там русские на самом деле один народ, и поэтому там должна быть Россия как государство. Само это обоснование подрывает основы государственности Российской Федерации. Потому что это означает, что тогда непонятно, почему под государством России...
It is unclear why Tatars and Chechens lives in Russia. It is very clear, my friend. Have you forgotten about the 2 Chechen wars you fought with Chechnya? I know why Chechens live in Russia, because they are forced to. That's like, I answer it for you. You don't have to wonder anymore. You're welcome, by the way.
Живут там татары, чеченцы и так далее. Если Россия везде, где русские, да, это одна история.
Борис Борисович, вы провокатор.
Россия, там это другая история.
Не будите в Кащенко Смолина.
Не будите лихо, и все будет нормально. Дальше. Государства распадаются,
это антигосударственная позиция.
Государства распадаются не в силу того, что какие-то группы там собираются и что-то там излагают такое, да, достаточно действительно маргинальное. Тут трудно не согласиться. Пока, да. Я потом отдельно спрошу про маргинальные группы. Вот. Государства распадаются из-за катастрофических ошибок.
States will collapse because of the catastrophic mistakes of their own leadership. Oh my God, Mr. Russian propagandist, you are walking on thin ice. Are you implying that Putin did something wrong? Because he is the leader. Because of his mistakes, Russia might as well collapse. You are speaking some dangerous words here. Words that are the truth, honestly.
Собственного руководства государства.
This dude is holding up his arm. My friend, you're in a Russian propaganda show. You speak over your opponent. You don't hold up your arm. What do you think? You're in a Western democratic society? This is Russia. You yell over your opponent.
Они реально и распадаются, да? И когда эти катастрофические ошибки
накапливаются,
критическая масса раздражения, то даже вот такие маргинальные поначалу группы могут вдруг оказаться очень важными. Когда сказали, что в Брюсселе собрались чеченцы, или кто там в Брюсселе?
Да, чеченцы.
Я сразу в голове выскочило, что в этом же самом Брюсселе в 1903 году собрались где-то человек 50 их было, никому особо неизвестные в России люди. Это назывался Второй съезд РСДРП. Брюссельская полиция их гоняла, они, по-моему, в Лондон переезжали, 50 человек было. Я думаю, что когда в третьем отделении читали доносы про этот съезд,
I mean, I just talked to Vlad Vexter about the Russian propaganda, and he really understands what's going on. Honestly, the best explanation ever I've gotten about Russian propaganda and why is it like that came from Vlad Vexler. It's in my podcast. I'm gonna upload it in like 2 weeks, so you're gonna keep an eye on my podcast channel. But he explains it so beautifully. And if you have any questions why the propaganda is like that, how can they believe it? How is it possible Russian people believe this garbage? Vlad knows the reasons. He is unbelievably verbalized about this, so keep an eye on that.
хохот стоял еще круче, чем вот сейчас у нас, когда мы на это смотрим. Но в результате катастрофических ошибок российского правительства, Российской империи, которая влезла в войну никому не нужную, да, вооружила кучу мужиков, я ни на что не намекаю.
Хотите сказать, что Россия могла не участвовать в Первой мировой?
Вышло то, что вышло. И те, над кем все смеялись, 50 человек собрались какие-то.
Vlad Vexler told me that Russian propaganda does not intend to make the viewers believe what they say. They intend to confuse the viewers and make the viewers think that they cannot believe anything because the propaganda is so out there and so wild. And it makes perfect sense. You have all these different claims in the propaganda. They're all over the place. You cannot believe any of them because they're so crazy. And when you are fed this every day, you kind of start to doubt everything. You're not going to believe anything. That means you're not going to believe the Western media also, which means you're perfect as a Russian citizen. That's right where they want you. Vlad gave me this explanation and it makes so much sense for me. Europe and the United States started enforcing on Monday two of the toughest measures aiming at curbing Russia's income earned from oil. The first one is the price ceiling of 60 USD per barrel. The second is an embargo that prohibits European Union countries from buying most Russian crude as of Monday. It is a step that the bloc had agreed to months ago, but it was phased in slowly to prepare member nations. Poland and Estonia actually were bent on punishing Russia with a far lower price cap, but the US has a plan to phase out Russian oil more gradually. Connected to that, one day after this price ceiling started in effect, Turkish border guards are not letting 19 Russian tankers through the Bosphorus, a whole fleet of Russian oil tankers, demanding to show insurance. Insurance which is given to Russian oil exporters only if they sell it with the price which is not higher than 60 USD per barrel. So you need insurance to transport oil. You get insurance only if you don't sell the oil higher than 60 USD per barrel. So EU controls the insurance companies mostly. And through the insurance companies, they control the Russian exporting price, which is, whoa, unbelievable. First, South Korea's K2 tanks and K9A1 self-propelled howitzers acquired by the Polish army have arrived in Poland. This is gonna sound weird, but I would love to smell these tanks. Honestly, I wanna go inside the tanks and like... You know, when new tech comes out of factories, it has this new factory smell. Chemicals, I love it. I don't know why I like it so much. Like everything new that comes out of a box, I'm like all over it and people watch me weird. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't judge me. It smells good. Estonia also fields South Korean K9 self-propelled howitzers. But we don't have money for the tanks, so I'm glad Poland got the tanks. Poland is militarizing faster than my hairline is retreating, and I'm glad about that, because all of the countries around Poland can feel safer thanks to them, except for Belarus, of course. A new wave of mobilization will begin in Russia in January 2023, according to multiple Russian officials. It will reportedly include raids on places of residence to round up men for the army. Military registration offices in the region have been instructed by the defense minister to begin intensive work on the mobilization of men for the war in Ukraine. Their search will begin in January and continue up until February, but the authorities do not intend to officially announce the mobilization. That is very important, because by law, the partial mobilization Putin declared has not yet completed. So by law, they can do what they want. They can mobilize infinitely. Russia could mobilize all of their population without declaring full mobilization. They can just do it gradually. That's the game Putin is playing. The defense ministry has not yet given out the number of people that will be mobilized in January. But what it looks like is that Putin is going to secretly, silently mobilize Russian men, but it's gonna do it gradually, slowly, not in one huge swoop. Ukraine's new drone is claimed to have the range of 1,000 kilometers. Mapped here is 1,000 kilometers from the border or the front line. In the range are Belarus, Crimea, Moscow, even St. Petersburg. Obviously this could be a total info op, so take it with a bucket of salt. But a day ago we saw Ukrainian drones or missiles or whatever it was attacking Russian air bases 500 kilometers away from the border. So 1,000 kilometers does not seem that crazy to me at all right now. 6th of December is Army Day in Ukraine. For that day, Zelensky visited the city of Slavyansk, where he awarded medals to Ukrainian soldiers and officers. The city sits 50 kilometers from the front line in Donbass. This is an expression of Zelensky's bravery. He leads by an example with such acts. A true hero in my eyes. This has been it, my friends. I will keep you posted on what's happening in Ukraine, and I'm going to make videos about Iran, about China, about Taiwan. All of this is coming up very soon, so stay tuned for it. And to be notified, subscribe to my channel. Press the subscribe button right now. Also subscribe to my podcast channel and become a patron of the channel. There's so much to do for you. Get doing it. Until my next video, my friends. Slava Ukraini.